Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Jake with Pacific Roamer. I'm here to show off my 2021 Rav4 that I've been building up for the last few years. I'm in the beautiful Eastern Sierra Mountains during the fall colors, and I think after a few years of building up, it's time to finally show off this rig. So this is a 2021 Rav4 Hybrid XLE Premium. Now, if you guys have seen my channel before, I also have a 2010 Toyota Tacoma, and the difference between these two vehicles is the Tacoma I use more on rugged trails, more rocky terrain, while this I use to explore new areas and kind of assess new places that I want to explore with the Tacoma. So in this video, I'm going to break down what I've been doing to this car over the last 3 years, the pros and the cons that I've seen, and generally the terrain that I've been taking this on and the experiences I've had with it so far.
Let's begin with the Bolt-Ons. Step one of this build was the lighting. Auxbeam hooked me up with a full kit. This includes a 32-inch light bar mounted to the bumper, 3-inch pods mounted to the hood with Cali raised brackets, and a 6-gain controller wired through the dashboard. Full video on these items linked in the corner. Recently, I've added some Baja Design fog lights and these grille accent lights by Factor 4. I also picked up the factory Toyota receiver. If clearance is key, the factory version is the way to go, as aftermarket models sit below the bumper. Next, it was time for the original rims and tires to go. We ended up going with Method 502 Rallies for the rims and Falcon Wild Peak AT Trails for the tires. Measuring out at 245/65 R17, this combination is about an inch larger than the original tires, which does result in minor rubbing on sharp turns. On the roof, we have a Prinsu rack, which by the way was horrible to install, but now allows us to configure the car as needed, often switching between Plano cases and the rooftop tent. Lastly, in the back, we have a 10-inch kicker subwoofer mounted inside a SCAR audio box for maximum space efficiency. Before, we had a standalone sub box which took up most of the trunk space. Now we're able to fit a lot more gear, including a fridge powered off the 12-volt outlet, and this tote from Costco which holds travel supplies, tools, and other accessories. Next up is performance. Aside from the new rims and tires, this Rav has no mechanical modifications. This leads to some pros and cons. Starting with the pros, we have ride quality. I keep the tires around 35 PSI on highway and rarely drop it below 30 PSI on dirt. Overall, the ride is smooth on most trails, with washboard being barely noticeable at high speeds. On highways, the car is great, and I truly can't explain how amazing the automatic cruise control is for long distance drives, automatically slowing and speeding up as needed. The Rav also comes with 4 drive modes: Eco, Sport, Normal, and Trail. Since we use it as a road trip car, we keep it on Eco mode virtually all of the time, including when we're on dirt. Personally, the only time I use Trail mode is on sandy terrain and steep inclines, providing me with more control over the rear end on sand and removing tire slippage when testing on this steeper ascent. I found myself driving through some pretty decent sand traps and never once have the tires dug in. Next, let's get to the cons. While the car does have around 8 inches of ground clearance, it has been difficult gauging what I can and can't do when compared to the Tacoma. I often find myself accidentally scraping the bumpers or almost high centering on what seems like simple terrain. But that's probably a skill issue. But really, the combination of 8 inches of clearance with an entirely plastic underside results in a lot of brush dragging, which sounds terrible inside the cab. Switching to a metal undercarriage might be in our future. One thing that's for certain though is a drop in gas mileage. Fully stocked, the car was averaging 38 miles per gallon on the highway. Once the rims and tires were installed, that number dropped 11% to 34 mpg. But it gets even better. We put the iCamper on the Prinsu for our Utah road trip, which resulted in a whopping 38% decrease down to 21 mpg. We left Orange County with a full tank of 14.5 gallons, driving 280 miles in eco mode, pulling into a gas station in Bullhead City, Arizona with 18 miles left on the gauge. This mileage remained the same throughout the trip, requiring us to fill up twice as often with stops in Flagstaff, Mexican Hat, Loa, St. George, and Barstow. So in total, we have a car with Toyota reliability that's perfect for long distance road trips. The clearance and tires allows us to navigate most of the trails we're familiar with and have confidence exploring new areas. The print suit rack allows us to adapt the car as needed, whether it be for extra storage or switching over to the rooftop tent, but at the cost of reduced mileage, especially with heavy loads. If you plan on taking a Rav4 on trails regularly, I recommend skid plates, but for me, this is right where it needs to be.
All right, and that wraps up my breakdown of my 2021 Rav4. Thank you guys for stopping in and checking out my rig and how it's progressed over the last couple years. And I think that's it. Time to pack up, head back on the road, and head to camp for the night. Until next time.